Hello. Come on in, the water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast. A podcast celebrating the entire White Stripes catalog, one song at a time, one song per episode. How's everybody doing? Days are getting shorter. Things are getting bleaker. But hey, there's still a lot of White Stripes songs to go through, and that's what we're doing together. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. Our first solo episode that was a few hours late. It has been a very busy time for me. Just moving, unpacking, decorating. I'm spending some time thinking about what I'm going to put as my podcast backdrop or video clips and streaming and all that fun stuff. And I'm here to tell you first, I have settled on my framed White Stripes poster from their September 2003 show in Vancouver. Legitimately my first concert ever, though I did see Gob at the Rec Center, and I saw Steppenwolf at the Calgary Stampede when I was a kid. But this was the first pay your money, make your effort, like go experience the lawlessness that is a rock show in the early 2000s. I remember I went with my White Stripes friend Chris, and my dad had to drive us from Abbotsford to Vancouver, about an hour drive on a good day. So we had to buy him a ticket too. I swear they were like $40, if that. This was before late stage capitalism came in and just grabbed us by the neck. So it was me, it was Chris, it was my dad, and then two other friends from school, Becky and Evan Sharp. They didn't have tickets, but they were going to try and get them secondhand. This was a really funny moment for me looking back, because it was probably the first realization for my dad that like we're not full on kids anymore, but he's still responsible for their well-being. And like he knew that these kids were going to go buy tickets from a scalper and do whatever, and he's just like, meet back at the car at the end of the night, and just also realizing himself like, what do they care, as long we'll get them home. So this is our chance to get our hands on some White Stripes merch, because back then, I was 15, so the only thing that I could buy was what was available in the music store in the mall, HMV. So I was really, really excited. I bought. I had started working. I had my first part-time job, so I had some money. I don't really remember having it very much because I would spend it immediately. But for that show, I bought the poster. I bought 2 White Stripes shirts. This is on the Elephant Tour. This is like red pillbox one, and then just a White Stripes elephant with like a drawn elephant on it. And I bought the singles for Seven Nation Army, the single for Fell in Love with a Girl, and the single for Hotel Yorba. I feel like I bought the Dead Leaves and the Dirty Ground single off eBay. Like Chris and I bought all this merch, and we just gave it to my dad to, and you go to the bar, there's always somebody that has to look after the bags or the purses or the coats. Dad was looking after the purses that night. It was at the Plaza of Nations. It was like the worst venue ever. I recall talking about this with Jason Manning in the episode for I Just Don't Know What to Do With Myself. And like it was a concrete glass structure that was technically outside. Think of like a retractable roof stadium. And it was mostly a GA floor, kind of in the shape of a baseball field. You could probably put about 5,000 people there, under 5. And it had like little steps around the end. So my old man, or little bleachers, like maybe 3 rows of bleachers. So my dad sat on the bleachers with all of our White Stripes merch. And he told me later that he sat next to an older guy who was a bit older than him. My dad's born in 59. And the guy beside him was there seeing the show, I think by himself as well. And he was telling my dad that he also had seen Elvis Presley and the Beatles the one time each of those acts came to Vancouver. They played at the old Empire Stadium. So he had a great time. And for the most part, I had a great time at this show in 2003. That's why it's going to go up behind my shoulder, hopefully for the next episode. But I also have a White Stripes framed print from their 2007 show on the Icky Thump tour at Deer Lake Park, just over the hill here in Burnaby, and that is the best concert I have ever seen and probably will ever see. But that artwork is really nice, and Amanda likes it and thinks that's more. It's better than office artwork. It's main level. It's communal area artwork. So kudos to whoever designed that art. It's that good. It's front and center entryway artwork. I think we haven't done this in a little bit, so let's provide a update on our request to get Jack White on this show. Hang on, I have it here. Ruffle some papers. Here it is. There is no update. We have no update on Jack White coming on this show to discuss one of three. Well, he'll discuss all three. To discuss the three mystery songs one at a time. There's no update, but I will tell you this. I'm going through old magazine scans, and I was looking for some information, and I came across a great little tidbit about one of the mystery songs I have put aside for him. Completely opened my eyes as to what we would talk about or what we would address, or maybe the tidbit's so juicy we might not even talk about it, because the last thing I'm going to conduct is a gossipy interview. And I think you agree with that too. The main reason I was going through those magazine scans is because in this episode, discussing Bone Broke with our new friend Nate Prevedoros of the band Dead Summer, great band, we were talking about Bone Broke, the lyrics, and he recalled seeing somewhere that it was written that Jack had written those lyrics prior to the first White Stripes album, and he had just not used them. It makes sense. There are some handwritten lyrics in the White Stripes complete lyrics book that look a little non-2070. It makes sense. And then on song lyrics, somebody on song meanings on that website, somebody commented saying Jack said it in an interview. So the quest continues. I've got like 6 tabs open right now where I want to buy a bunch of old White Stripes magazines off eBay so I can read them and get information and quotes out of them. I had a handful growing up, and those just, I think I might have one left. But you don't think you'll need them anymore. And then 20 years later, you start a White Stripes podcast and you're kicking yourself. So you got any old White Stripes magazines kicking around, preferably with interviews, and you want to send them to me, we can talk about compensation, because I'd be happy to take them off your hands. So if you got any White Stripes old magazines that you want to donate to the cause, I'm not going to cut them up and cut up pictures and put them on my locker at school, I promise. They will be preserved. But if you got any kicking around and you think they might go to a good use, you send them to me. Or you scan them or just take photos of them. I need interviews, just about anything you got. So if you got a big stack of magazines with the White Stripes interviews in them, take some photos that are clear and send them to hardestpodtopod@gmail.com. That would be fantastic, because let me tell you, the shipping costs to send a magazine from the UK to Canada, oh boy. Another thing you want to do, if you want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. What website is that? It's buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. And you can kick a couple of bucks our way and say, hey, Ryan, you're doing a good job. Hey, Ryan, I like the show. Hey, Ryan, I'm paying you to not do another solo episode. And I will take that with a grain of salt and probably not listen to you. So yeah, buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod if you want to support the show monetarily. And if you don't want to support the show monetarily, times are tight, and they are, just help spread the word of this show. Tell a friend. Share it in your Instagram stories. Interact with us on social media. Tell some friends. Tell 7. Don't be selfish and don't eat shellfish. But yeah, please tell 7 friends about this show if you haven't yet. It's now time for our call to action this week. We're hitting pause on this episode, on this podcast, and you're going over to your streaming platform of choice. And you are going to Icky Thump, the 2007 final album, and you're going to Bone Broke. And if you really want to get the full experience, do it while you're driving, but listen to Conquest first, and then as the horns begin to fade out, just start to turn that music up a little bit louder, because that sick, unhinged riff is going to come in, make your ears bleed, and we're all going to love it. So hit pause, go to your streaming platform of choice, listen to Bone Broke, and when we come back, it's me, it's Nate, and we got another job at the liquor store. Damn! Our guest this week performs in the great band Dead Summer, as they put it, a modern rock duo that focuses on punchy riffs, catchy hooks, and high-energy performances. They just played the Lake Down Shakedown, opening up for the CanCon wonders that are Nickelback. And you can stream their latest single, Melodramatic, everywhere. He is Nate Prevedoros. Nate, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I've been listening to the White Stripes all day, so it's a good day.
I like it. I like the pre-gaming. I like the energy.
Yeah.
You're getting into the mindset. You know the assignment.
Exactly. Yeah. Dove into the record collection for this one.
Your Dead Summer is a two-piece band. The White Stripes are a two-piece band. What's the most important thing about being a two-piece band?
Oh gosh. The most important thing, the one most important thing. There's a million rules.
A important thing.
Yeah. Honestly, it's you got to dig in, and you got to just focus on being simple. That's what I took away from the White Stripes when I was learning to play guitar, and that was like the White Stripes were the band that I kind of discovered around that time, and simplicity is key. I think that's what it always comes down to be honest.
Do you think that there's maybe a mental block for, okay, we've already got a simple band, we have just two members, we've stripped it down, and now we have to overcomplicate it? Is that like where a duo might get it wrong or might face challenges?
I mean, sometimes, for sure. I mean, the amount of songs that me and my drummer Michael, like we write all of our songs together, but the amount of times that we've written a song, like I'll bring a riff and then we'll kind of jam it out, and we start to take it somewhere, and then we go, let's add, like we'll be working on a demo or something, we'll add keys, we'll add auxiliary percussion, it sounds good, but then we go to play it in the room together, and it's just like, now it sounds empty, but does it sound empty, or is it just because we're missing that context?
Of course.
Like sometimes if you add all that stuff in and then take it away, then it feels empty. But if the baseline of it all is just simple and kind of stripped back, not overcomplicated, I think it's just, you realize you don't need to overcomplicate things.
Well, I'm glad that it makes perfect sense, and for fans of the White Stripes and Jack White, who has preached that for seemingly 25 years now, that's exactly what I think you should be taking away from the White Stripes. All right, we're talking about Bone Broke this week.
Yes.
It is one of the... Oh, man, you've been listening to the White Stripes. Give me an elevator pitch on Bone Broke.
Bone Broke? Oh, boy. I mean, being off of Icky Thump, the last album, which is such a, like, while it stays true, it's simple, it is such a departure when you look at their older stuff, like early on. Like, there's a lot more layers and things happening, different instruments all over the place. And Bone Broke is just, to me, like, I remember listening through Icky Thump, and like, obviously title track is incredible, and I was like, oh, it's raw, it's big, it's powerful. But then when you get to Bone Broke, it's in comparison to everything else, it's stripped back. It's a lot of things sound like they're out of time in a perfect way.
As only they can do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's the White Stripes being raw at I think the rawest that they sound late in the career.
I couldn't agree more.
Like the amps that he's blasting through sound like they're about to collapse in on themselves, and yeah, I think it's a really cool flavor to have on that final album. You know.
I couldn't agree more, and this song has always stuck with me. Like, I am a sucker for just a big guitars, wailing rock lyrics that you kind of don't know what they're saying. Like it sounds cool. Like, I make out 45% of it doesn't matter. It fits perfectly. And when Icky Thump came out, I was 19, and so I was able to, you're driving places, you're going to the bar, you're having fun, and I just remember Icky Thump would always be in the car, and it was like, as Conquest ends and it has a long fade out, it was like that was the cue to turn the radio up just a little bit more, because Bone Broke is gonna knock your dick in the dirt.
Yeah.
And it delivers. It's magnificent.
What a wild change too from Conquest. Like the horns, and it's so dramatic, to just yelling about being broke.
Yeah.
That's with all that attitude. It's such a change, and it works. It works so well.
Yeah. It for an album that was quite succinct, but also kind of all over the place, like Icky Thump, that everything just kind of works. Everything kind of goes into each other, and it makes sense. Yeah. As I go down this journey of discovery or rediscovery of the White Stripes, like I was consuming everything and anything about them since White Blood Cells, and in research for this, I'm learning that prior to this was the first and only album they did in what they called a modern studio, like
right.
a full mixing board, as many tracks as they could ever need. And they did a full run through of the tracks in demo form to workshop and work off of and get ideas. And they had a rehearsal spot in Nashville. Did you listen to the demo?
The reference track version, or?
Yeah, or just the Bone Broke in that thing I sent you. There's a demo of it.
I listened to it.
Oh, you fucker!
Yeah, I listened to it.
Yeah, you listen to it. I don't have that.
The other night when I messaged you, I was looking for a live performance, and I was like, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
And like the other thing, like I mentioned, I was looking through my record collection trying to find my vault package, and I found that, and I was like, well, what's this third record on here? I was like, oh, okay. Oh, it's got all the tunes on it, and then I went, oh, it's a reference. That's cool. That's super cool. Yes, I've heard it. I heard it.
So I didn't know about it. There was like a period where I'm like, I can't afford vault packages, so I just didn't get them, and I'm like, there's no I'm just like, is there a demo anywhere? And then
for anybody watching the video format of the podcast, I've got those demo tapes on vinyl here.
But what I didn't know is that was the only album they did demos for. Demos
was
together.
Really?
I was shocked by it. Knowing that they demoed Icky Thump, and like there is a tape from Get Behind Me, Satan, that's just Jack with like a Tascam. Knowing that it's the only album they demoed Jack and Meg together, how does that reflect on your opinion of kind of the album as a whole?
Just the fact that they demoed them out ahead of time?
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, it's interesting because with the White Stripes, I think there were three words that came to mind, like raw would be one of them,
Of course.
And I don't think it takes away from anything. I think the creative process for songwriting is anybody who says that it's the same for them every time, they must be lying. They must be lying. There's no way. It's never always the same. I think it reflects on the album in a sense of it's a departure in a way. Maybe not a departure from their past records, but
Yeah.
The fact that it was in the first proper studio, as they put it, and the fact that it's the only album they've demoed out before, I think it shows in the sense of it sounds a little bit more produced. But I don't think that takes away from anything. I always find it interesting when bands have, like, when you can tell where they started and then you get to see where they ended up in the end.
They kind of whether it turned out this way or they wanted to do it, it was, Icky Thump was kind of modeled as and advertised as a return to form. Like, Get Behind Me, Satan was kind of, all over the place. It was experimental. It was unique. It was the next step in their, it was the next step in their kind of creative journey. And it made a lot of sense. And then with Icky Thump, Jack's done the Raconteurs album. He's toured with them. I don't know if they needed to remember how they put music together or remember how they did it, but for as simple as Icky Thump is, there is a lot of moving parts in it. There are songs that kind of go all over the place with different, 300-mile-per-hour output or blues, and Icky Thump go everywhere. Like there's a lot to remember. So I could understand the desire to, demo something which, compared to previous albums, previous songs, they're essentially doing their And Justice for All of, we got a lot to remember here. But I'd never heard those demos. You have the Vault package. That's from the Vault number 8. And I had not. And I listened to my first takeaway from I listened to all of them, was that those demos could have been recorded in 1999. It could have been recorded in 2000. It was mind-blowing for me to hear Icky Thump and Bone Broke, like not sloppily played, but just like incomplete or kind of learning on the fly. It sounded like they were playing that that they were playing at a dive bar in Detroit, and it just, what kind of, I don't know if you feel the same way, but you think the album is different. You go and listen to the demos and the way they're approaching the album, and it's like, oh, nothing has changed. This album could have come out 7 years prior.
Yeah. Like its bones are the same as they've elevated it and did something different, which I applaud bands who do that. Always. Onwards and upwards all the time, right?
So yeah, on those demos, 10 of the 13 tracks that made Icky Thump were demoed. 11. Effect and Cause and A Martyr for My Love for You were not on that. And I'm Slowly Turning Into You was demoed during or worked on in the Get Behind Me, Satan sessions. So this album was cobbled together and then brought into the studio, pretty much ready to go, or to kind of to perfect, or just to try to give it more shape and give it more substance. It's a 7th track off their final album. It clocks in at 3:14, which is also pi, making it one of the band's longer songs. And
that's so funny. I love that. Short and sweet all the time.
Oh, we did Little Room a couple months ago, and I'm like, well, I don't know how long this episode's gonna be, and it was 48 minutes. I'm like, that's almost 1 minute per second of that song. So let's talk about this song. I absolutely love the riff. Please, how is he playing? How would you describe that? I don't know if it's a bend, or if it's like it's an upstroke or whatever. I can play guitar, but I can fake guitar. How would you describe that big greasy riff to start this song?
The main riff. That's one that, I mean, I remember being 15 trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out that, and it always sounded, there's, I don't know what it is about it. I was thinking about it today. I picked up my acoustic guitar just to give it a shot. I don't know if it's the way his amp is breaking up. I don't know if his guitar was probably slightly out of tune, but
Yeah.
there's something about, the way he digs in. I mean, something that I picked up from Jack White is, I can't remember where he said it, but talking about how he always plays upstrokes, and how, just because he found that it gets such a harsher, like meaner attack.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, and that's like, if you watch him play, if you really pay attention, like when he's playing his more rhythm parts, he's strumming normally, but when he's soloing, he's picking up, which is it's so much more work, which is classic Jack White. And
How can I make this more difficult?
yeah, exactly. But it does, like, if you, I've sat down and tried to play some of his lead licks, and
Mm-hmm.
try playing it with downstrokes, and it sounds wrong, and then you just flip it around, do it all picking upwards, and it's nastier. It sounds worse in a good way.
Yeah.
um, but but yeah, no, that riff, and but I think it's a combination of some things. But
Yeah.
there is something about that main riff in this song that it's got this like punk rock energy to it too, where it's like, it's kind of sloppy, but it doesn't matter. Yeah,
I uh I do love it. It just like it's a greasy lyric. Like it's that upstrum and just kind of it just kind of falls off the bone, and it like
yeah,
it's you think that as I listen to this song, there's a multitude of parts where I think that they're almost gonna like lose it. Like they're in the pocket, they're jamming, and then I'm like, they're not. They're going to the edge. They're not gonna, they're gonna have to start over. But they bring it back in, and I love that you brought that up, and that's something I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't really pay too close of attention to. Of like, this is for a produced album and a more polished White Stripes, it's still like this could fall off the rails pretty quick. And the fact that it doesn't, you're almost kind of like, will they, won't they? And then when they don't, and they can get the song back to where it's got to go, it just has that lasting impact.
it does feel like every time every time it comes back around to that riff, it does sound like it's about to fall apart. It's like it's done, just like you're saying. But then, and it's, yeah.
Oh, just a nasty song. I love the lyrics. I I didn't know much of these or most of these lyrics until looking at them today. I knew that he said that the only lyric that ever really stood out is that Jack's got another job at the liquor store. Damn.
Yeah.
And have you ever had a job at the liquor store?
Dude, I currently have a job at the liquor store.
Dude. So this is why this is the perfect song for our pal Nate here. I know so many people that have worked in creative roles, whether it's in music or in art or production, where it's like, I need a job that is not going to suck the life out of me and be soul crushing, but can also has those hours that I'm not like, that I can get some money here. So know exactly what Jack is talking about, that he's got another job at the liquor store.
Dude, this song hits home. It was funny because I hadn't, like, when we like in choosing this, like when we said we were going to chat about this song, I hadn't listened to it in a while, and I remember listening to it, and a little insight for all the listeners into my personal life. I worked at this liquor store for like a couple of years. I quit, and then I went back because
You got another job at the
I
liquor
got
store?
another job at the liquor store, and I was listening to this song, and I was like, man, it's really hitting home right now. I mean, yeah, but yeah, it's such a. I mean, going back on the simplicity thing too.
Yeah.
Such a simple concept for a song.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially like a thrashy rock song, the way it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that damn
He's
is always he delivers it so
damn.
well. Yeah,
It is a simple message. It's about the story's about the narrator struggling.
yeah,
They're trying to make ends meet. They got somebody that's just kind of the black suit is trying to shake him down. He's whatever money he's making. It's not happening.
that that
And
that
go
second
ahead.
verse that second verse always kind of it's like the first one. The first verse. I mean, oh gosh, I don't have the lyrics directly on me, but the first verse always made sense to me, and then it was the second verse where you're listening and yeah, until diving into it for this, I
Yeah.
never really understood what they were talking about. Like, they write it when the doggy isn't able. So funny, so funny, but and kind of cartoonish. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he
I
doesn't care because they pay him. I'm imagining just like paying. Are they paying the horse? Is that what's going on?
Who is the horse?
Yeah,
I love a lyric in here I just love is he goes, I'm sending in the monies in the mail, and like that's the equivalent of like the debt collectors are calling you, or you're like,
yeah,
let me send the open envelope and that'll buy me a few more days to pay my bills. And it's a great song to blast in the car when
had a bad
you're on
day.
the right track, but
Yeah,
man, I'm not making enough. I don't like
yeah,
what I'm doing. It just gets you, and it hit close to home to you today, and
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and even like I remember it. It's also one of those songs where I don't even, and just the lyrics are so. There's some lyrics that I find they just sound good. They don't really have to mean much, but they
Yeah.
sound good. And I remember as a 15, 16-year-old kid who I didn't have any clue what it meant to be broke, but I remember hearing the song and being like, yeah, yeah,
I don't get enough allowance,
yeah.
Jack. I feel that. Yeah, this song goes hard, and this is a podcast that we regularly make sure that Meg gets her flowers.
Yes.
She
Oh,
plays her ass off on this
yeah.
song.
I made a joke. I didn't mean it because I mean I think Meg White is one of the most iconic drummers in music
Yep.
history. But I made a joke to my drummer because I mentioned that I showed him the song and I was like, yeah, you might like it. It's the one song that Meg does something that really sounds like a drum fill. Yeah,
Yeah.
like going into that. I think they in the lyric booklet or whatever they refer to it as the bridge, but I always thought of it as kind of a chorus. But it
Yeah.
kind of slows down a little bit. But um, but yeah, she does, and that her the drum part in the verses, like with that
Mm-hmm.
main riff, it's like it wouldn't like no wonder it sounds like it's falling apart. It's incredibly hard to keep up with that, like playing on those offbeats the whole time.
Oh my God. I get the sense I don't know how many times they played this song together, but it's like there's nothing for either one of them to hang on to.
No,
It's like we're like there's very little consistent beats or measures that it's like that's my reference point. This song is the opposite of a metronome.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And when like listening to it, I can thinking back to thinking of all the I never had the chance to see the White Stripes live. I would, if I could see any band, it would be them. But uh, watched lots of videos, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
there's something about the way that I mean, she had to, but the way Meg always was like watching Jack like a hawk, the whole time, and I could listening to the recorded version of this song, I
Yeah.
can picture that.
Yeah.
like just like watching and just hoping that it stays together.
Well, if she's got a hit on downbeats, it's like I have to watch your whole body move, every movement, because or else I'm going to play with the wrong part of the song. I'm going to get completely lost. We're trying to keep this goddamn song on the rails here. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's an absolute test of the that they could create chaos, they could navigate it beautifully, and just when you think that this is just going to be a mess, they like bring it all around, and you're like, oh, of course, that's what they were trying to do the whole time, and it makes perfect sense. And yeah, they knew. And whether they I find myself so often with the White Stripes going, how like, how methodical, how strategic were they in this, or was it just this unbelievable chemistry that they push from one side to the other of making it work? Because
Yeah.
it's just wild to try to make sense of some of the things they did.
Yeah. And I mean, the cool thing about it is that it really sounds like an old like a song off of like their first three records, but it is pretty old, isn't it? I think I did a little bit of research and I was trying to figure out when they wrote it, and it's kind of an older one, isn't it? I think you said in an interview at some point.
I couldn't find out how old it was. We both have our lyrics books, and it's quite handwritten, and yeah. I don't know how old it is. Little Cream Soda is the song that was kicking around on this album.
Right.
that had a bit of a shelf life, but based on the way, go ahead.
I've heard that it was there was an article with, I can't remember who it was, but I think Jack said that it was a song he wrote intended for another band at the time, like in like 1997, 1998, which,
well, that's cool as hell.
It is cool. And then it was just one that they pulled out. I don't have a source for that. I feel like I've heard that at some point. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I like to think it's true, because I mean it makes sense. It sounds like a song that the White Stripes would put out in 1999.
It sounds like Jack White. That's like, man, my upholstery apprenticeship isn't paying enough. I got to get another job at the liquor store. Damn.
Yeah, because let's be honest. Like, of all the times for Jack White to sing about being broke, it wasn't during Icky Thump.
I'm gonna go do my my due diligence over the weekend, and when this episode comes out on Tuesday, I will have a definitive answer. I will go through the Internet Archive, because that's how we do things on this show, accurately,
with authenticity.
Let's go to this song's legacy, which I feel like we've just created an even bigger legacy for it.
Yeah.
Discussing what the song is and what it represents. We talked about it on an album that's full of experimentation, a lot of ambition, a lot of throwing everything we kind of want against the walls. This album harkens back to, when their grinding days, their independent artist days, their lugging shit in a van days, and it just, I started doing this. I started this project. I started doing this podcast with some cynicism about Icky Thump, because it was their return to form album, and it is my favorite album. It's not their best, but it's my personal favorite. But knowing they kind of went back to what they were doing or what they felt comfortable doing, I always felt like that's not what an artist should do. Just being a total mark, being a total fan, and worrying that, they've plateaued and this is all they want to do. I've certainly changed that, and that mindset, and I'm glad they decided to go back to what inspired them to make this music and create this band. And on the Icky Thump Cross Canada tour, they were playing those secret shows and using 10-year-old equipment, and just kind of reminding themselves, hey, the the Seven Nation Army checks coming in are pretty big and pretty nice, but let's remember where we came from. And I think Bone Broke does that too.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. And I think it's important to always remember, like, where you came from musically, because it's like it forms it forms the creative process. Like it what am I trying to say? It's for, like, Icky Thump being I didn't know that it was. I was Icky Thump came out in 2007.
That's correct.
I was 10 years old when it came out. I didn't even know who Jack White was at the time. I didn't know it was like intended as a return to form. That's interesting.
Yeah, and their only number one album was Get Behind Me, Satan, but the majority of people will kind of there's a lot on that album kind of is all over the place. It's not like White Blood Cells, it's not like Elephant, and like it is like the songwriting and just the craftsmanship of the music is outstanding. Like, it is a great album, but I think they just said, let's get rid of the Zorro outfit and let's just wear what we did before, and let's just do let's do what we know works. And
right.
let's have some fun again, or I have no idea. That's one of the lofty goals of this show is to have Jack White on to do not one but 3 mystery songs. And I'd love to ask him, like, what happened between Get Behind Me, Satan and Icky Thump, that where was your mindset, where was what were you looking to create, and did you achieve that? And I think if they're looking for a return to form, like, Bone Broke is just a sick, very accurate representation of that. And like we were saying, if you listen to that demo, there's nothing to return to. It is, whether it's 97 or 07, it's as White Stripes and as raw and authentic as it gets.
Yeah. It's garage rock at its finest. At its finest.
Damn straight. Let's go to some quick reviews here. Pitchfork, they loved Icky Thump. They gave it an 8 out of 10. And they said, the duo's effortless dynamic on Bone Broke dismisses the garage rock trend starting to tiresomely rebubble yet again amongst the indie dregs, showing that the world tours haven't taken them too far from sweaty suburban Detroit house parties. I'd like to say that Pitchfork just was clearly listening to this whole conversation, and they wrote it all down a little bit more eloquently.
Yeah, they stole that from us for sure, somehow.
But yeah, like, even back then you could tell, like, it's a decade's gone by, but we're still the same band, and we're still approaching music the same way, and it was reflected like this, and I would agree, it's an effortless dynamic, and we talk about the dynamic, we talk about the chemistry between them. It was probably the most, maybe from us it looked like it was a shitload of work and a shitload of effort, and maybe it was, or maybe it was just another day. It was muscle memory at that point, and they knew where they wanted to go, and they knew how to perform a song that was essentially sweet chaos.
Yeah, I mean, there's what I gather from them as a duo is, like, chaos is where they thrived.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's not the song we're talking about, but, like, Little Cream Soda that was one that, like, he made up on stage or something, and that's how it kind of came about. Which that's fascinating to me. Like, there's nothing, I can't imagine anything more chaotic as a musician than writing a song in front of a group of people.
Well, dude, you're in a 2-person band. You're playing a bass through one sick rig. Like, how would Michael feel if you just start, I got an idea, I got a melody in my head, I'm just gonna dick around with this, and he's like, what What the fuck?
Dude,
What are you doing?
Dude, he'd be so mad at me when we walked off stage. I'm sure he'd be a good sport about it, and he would try
Yeah.
his best. But I have a feeling if I tried to do that and I looked back at him on stage, he'd be like, "What's happening? Like, what are you doing?" And I don't think that, and that's just like such a testament to the White Stripes as a duo.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they played music, so they played together so often that and like I mean, Jack White being a little bit of an enigma as a musician in himself. Um, I think it's a testament to just how like there was some telepathic communication going on. I don't know how, but it's a testament to just how tight they were.
Yeah.
And how they could read each other.
I mean, the whole time we're talking about this telepathic nature, this chemistry, and reading one another, I don't know who listening is a hockey fan, but I'm like, we're talking about the Sedines of
Right, yeah.
garage rock here, and for those listening, that aren't based out of Vancouver or BC or hockey fans, there was twin brothers that played for the local team here. They were drafted first and second overall, and everybody that watched them could not describe their chemistry. It was, they knew where they were going to go at all times. They perfectly complemented each other. They almost never played apart, and it's like one of the biggest anomalies. And hell, it is an enigma in hockey of how did these two play so well together. And
Yeah.
it's like they had that in them, and they were smart enough to realize they had it in them and make the most of it. And how can you not say the same thing about Jack and Meg White?
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to do shows with bands in the past. I've never done it with Dead Summer. I don't know. But I've tried to do it in the past where we do the White Stripes thing. We go, let's not have a set list. No set list tonight. Let's make it up as we go. It's a train wreck. It was a train wreck. I would love to say that we crushed it and it was great, but it was a train wreck. It was bad. I look back and I go, you idiot. What were you thinking? I mean, it's trying to be the White Stripes. To be fair, we were trying to do it with it was a 4-piece band, which
oh no,
it's a lot of people to communicate with all at once.
Unless you're Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers,
yeah.
I couldn't imagine you being tight enough to just like wing it like that. Like I'm picking it up. I know where we're going next.
yeah.
Rolling Stone, their review, they gave Icky Thump 3.5 out of 5. They questioned Jack's supposed money woes. And Bone Broke is right after Icky Thump. They describe Icky Thump, You Don't Know What Love Is, and Bone Broke. With those songs, they describe Icky Thump as a riff monster. Is that an accurate way to describe some of the songs on this album?
I think it's an accurate way to describe most songs by the White Stripes. It's a riff monster, whether it's a guitar riff or it's a piano riff or a distorted keyboard. Yeah, I mean, and Icky Thump. Yeah, I remember hearing that riff for the first time and being like, "Whoa!" I don't. How do you do that? How do you make something that just immediately drills itself into your brain?
And he's barely playing, and he's watching him live, and he's playing that little keyboard that's way too short. He's just doing, half that song is just him playing an open E and like muting it because he's got so much to do. That song on Icky Thump, the title track it's the earliest window I can identify as this is what Jack White's style, his solo style, his approach to guitar and his approach to riff. As soon as Icky Thump came out, it's like, oh, that's where he's going. And you see it in like Lazaretto. You see it in a lot of Fear of the Dawn. Like just he's making this clusterfuck song this clusterfuck riff that makes sense, and you think it's gonna fall off, and it gets right back there, and it's
he plays so many wrong notes. Wrong, I'll put wrong in air quotes because like it's not jazz, but it's if you really break it down, it looks like jazz. Just all those little chromatic notes, and like even and like to bring it back to Brown Broke, there's that, I don't even know what to call it. It's almost like a turnaround section where like Meg just starts beating on the crash cymbal, yeah, and he's doing that. It's like going back to those, we were talking about the upstrokes playing in his guitar playing. He does this thing where I remember calling it when I was a teenager trying to figure it out. I called it like the Jack White stutter.
yeah,
The way
that's
he
all you
makes
could.
the way he makes his guitar, like it's like it mutes and then comes, and he now I think he uses like he's got like a kill switch on some of his guitars, which is cool. And like there's different iterations. Like I've seen him in like with the Raconteurs, he had a, I think it's like a, for the guitar, the pedal nerds out there, it's like a Zvex copper plate trem, where the whole idea is that you could touch it and it does like a tremolo effect. Which I remember the first time I saw, I think I was watching It Might Get Loud, that the documentary, and I saw him doing that, and I was like, that's the coolest sounding thing I've ever heard. But then you see him doing it on on Let's Build a Home, the Conan performance, which we've you and I have talked about this a little bit already, but the way when he does it, when he takes the guitar over to the desk, and it's just, I challenge anybody who plays guitar to try to recreate that sound. It's,
after that performance, he broke his hand. He broke his left hand, his fret hand.
Right. Yes.
And he had to reteach himself how to play guitar.
Yeah, he plays a G chord in the weirdest way now.
Oh yeah. And you bring up the stuttering, and I remember in high school I took a guitar class, and the best advice somebody ever said was, don't worry about what the left hand is doing, worry about what your strumming hand is doing. And it's like, because that's where it all happens. And I'm like, thank God he didn't break his strumming hand, because that stutter, the bow, like we're talking about the up strum, I don't know what it would look like, what it would sound like, or if he would be anything. He could be a completely different player if he had broken that other hand in that car accident.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But sometimes I wonder if he did that on purpose, just so he could have something else to struggle with, getting into some struggle. Which I love it. Being somebody who's in a two-piece band, like you do have to work twice as hard.
That's right. I hope your picks are a little closer to where you're standing on stage, as opposed to about 3 feet too in the wrong direction like he would.
Honestly, man, this is maybe a little bit of a tangent, but like the little pick holders that people have on mic stands. I always just have them in my pocket. The amount of time, and I always forget, and then I drop a pick, and I'm having to play with. I mean, I think even as a guitar player, as a performer, you got to be able to play with that pick once in a while.
I think that's an idea in my mind that was always there, but I didn't know it, and that's how uncool the pick holder on the mic stand is.
They look ridiculous.
It's like what are you in fucking Kiss? Come on, man. Well, on that note, we'll talk about the live performance history. It was never played live, which is an absolute crime. I kind of can understand why it wasn't played live, or they didn't, adventure to play it live, because it just seems like such a hard song to play, especially in an insane, high energy live set. Like we're marveling at how chaotic and difficult a studio recording is. What do you think it would be like for them to play this live, on a hell of a show?
Right. You know what? Interestingly enough, I don't want to spark any arguments here, but I think I disagree. I think it's shocking to me that they didn't play it live, because to me it just seems like the perfect for a band that doesn't have set lists. It's just the way the song starts with just the big riff. It seems like a no brainer that he would be able to just rip it out somewhere, you know. Um,
I I
but
certainly I certainly wish they did.
yeah, well, yeah, but at the same time, like to your point, it is very chaotic and does seem like of all their tunes, that it's one of the ones I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but it's one of the ones that it would lend itself the most to completely just falling apart spontaneously. So, um, yeah, honestly, I'm when I found out that they never played it live, I was shocked, shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I can't think of why.
follow-up question. Jack's playing a wide variety of White Stripes songs, as a solo artist, especially on the No Name tour. Do you think Bone Broke could be played by Jack White as a solo artist?
With a four-piece band, it's four-piece now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he could do it. I don't know. There's something the how loose it is. I mean, I've seen Jack White with I saw him on the Boarding House Reach tour.
Yeah.
And I mean, I thought it was a great performance. It's not personally not my favorite of it. It gets pretty experimental, and I admire that, and I appreciate that album for what it is. But I think like my 15-year-old self really it just I what I got attached to was how the rawness of the White Stripes. But
Yeah.
I think especially with the band he has now, because it's Patrick Keeler and then Dominic Davis, and I don't know his keyboard player.
Bobby Emmett, I think.
Right. What is he from another band or?
I can't remember. I know that the Dean guy was in Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah.
He played with the Raconteurs.
And the Deadweather.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But sorry, you go for it.
No, I would love to see it. I think that this band, his current band, which is still sort of, they have a couple dates this year. I'd love to see him pull it out of thin air because, it wouldn't, as much as it's a White Stripes cover, and it's not something, White Stripes songs had a life on vinyl, a life on tape, and then they had a life live.
Yeah.
And I think that would be one of the challenges being Jack White is you have these songs that were performed live with this incredible chemistry, this scenery, and then you've got to play it with a bunch of guys in a band and not sound like a cover band.
Yeah.
So like you have this opportunity with Bone Broke to, well, this is what does it sound like live? We'll tell you when we're done because we don't know either. It's an opportunity. Yeah.
I could see them pulling it off, especially Patrick Keeler on drums.
Oh yeah,
dude. I remember the first time I heard the Raconteurs, I was like, where the fuck did this guy come from? Who is this? I was like, he has no right being that good, and me not knowing who he is.
Him on Broken Boy Soldiers, like, geez Louise, that song just goes. He destroys it.
Yeah. Oh. Gosh.
All right. As we wrap up this podcast, after discussing one song that was never played live for 50 minutes, when you listen to Bone Broke again, the next time you listen to Bone Broke, how are you going to hear it differently? Are you going to hear it the same? What are you going to take from this conversation when you listen to Bone Broke for the next time?
It's a great question. I'm trying to piece it together. I think the first thing that comes to mind is, I mean, it's something I noticed already, but I think really paying attention to the way Meg makes this song really come to life. Like its roots with the riff and everything. You can have a good riff, but without the right drum part, that riff doesn't really come to life in the same way. And there's something I think there's a lot of times where I listen to a White Stripes song for the first time in a while, and she's kind of she's known for having such simple drum parts. And she's kind of a sleeper agent in a way of like, you don't really realize she's there. And then if you were to take that away, it doesn't make sense anymore. And this is one of those songs. I don't think another drummer on planet Earth would play what she played for that, because it's so childish and, but like in a perfect, I think I keep saying this, in a perfect way.
It is, because it sometimes feels like she is playing it the opposite of what an everyday drummer would play. Like, she is perfectly complementing the guitar, by, it's just, if you're not hearing guitar, you're hearing, they're playing in concert together, but they're playing at different times. And that's what makes the song such a chaos, a stew of chaos. And when I listen to it, I'm just going to hear those parts so vividly, where it's like, oh, are they gonna get back to the riff in those couple of parts? Are they gonna keep it back on track? Because we regularly on this show talk about, it's beautiful it's a beautiful mess, or whatever you want to call it, like, but that's just, there's so many cliches that describe that, but in this one you can really hear, like, this is a band that is so tight and so locked together in chemistry that they're gonna, if we start to fuck things up, we'll get it back, and it'll kick ass.
I'll next time I listen to it, I'll be waiting for it to, the one time I'm listening to it where it's going to fall apart all of a sudden. Like it never has before, but maybe one of these times it will. I'll also be listening and just trying to figure out, maybe I'm missing something, but I'll be trying to figure out what it means to lean on a brick with one's nails. Is that what that
could mean anything?
Like, it could mean anything.
He's getting shook down by the guy in the black suit, taking all his damn money that he earned at the liquor store.
Yeah.
All right, that was Nate. I'm Ryan. Ryan and Nate. Great guy. Great band. Dead Summer. Check them out. I'm going to be real with you. I got a busy week coming up. I'm going to see the Hives on Tuesday night at the Commodore Ballroom. And on Wednesday, I am flying to Toronto, Ontario, because there is a big wrestling event there on the Saturday. And the show I produce with Josh and Zoobs, we're doing a live show in Toronto. That leaves roughly one open night to record a podcast, so I don't think it's going to happen. Also, when I get back, I'm going to see The Who with my mom's partner. There will likely not be an episode next week, but that is just because of circumstance, because we are back running full steam. And with that, the Hardest Podcast is hosted and produced by Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer, and Mike Noble is our Gato.